There are moments in life when courage and creativity meet adversity. And from that intersection, a leader is born. Mwangala Lethbridge is one such leader, an accomplished architect, entrepreneur, and author. She has not only shaped some of Zambia's most iconic spaces, but she has also reshaped how we think about healing, leadership, and the power of purpose. She pioneered wellness through Avocado Spa, founded the Mwangala Foundation, and her work is rooted in a deep commitment to service, impact, and community upliftment. In her memoir, Still Standing, Mwangala shares an unflinching story of personal trauma, survival, and resilience. A reminder that while we can't control what happens to us, we can choose what we do with our pain. Her story echoes the spirit of this season's theme, change the only constant. Today, she continues to inspire by leading conversations around mental wellness, women's empowerment, and inclusive design, inviting us all to stand stronger, dream bigger, and lead with intention.
My name is Mangala, and I'm an architect. I've been an architect for over 25 years, and I graduated from Copperbelt University many, many years ago. And straight from uni, I found myself employed under the construction industry, and I did that for a couple of years. And then I went and joined Ministry of Works and Supply, which is now Infrastructure and the Buildings Department, for 7 years, working for the client and working as a contractor representative really prepared me for the role that I hold today, which is the principal architect of my firm. I am a family person. I'm married to Adam. We have 4 children and 4 beautiful grandchildren. Being an architect is something that I enjoy very much. It's something that has allowed me to be creative. It's something that has brought me to I've met many different people. And every time you have a client, the most important thing is the concept brief. I always say clients are different. And as soon as you understand what the client is looking for, what problem are we trying to resolve, I work around that and I create that for them. It's starting, whether it's residential, whether it's commercial, the process is the same. You start from the concept brief, you go through the construction drawings all the way to completion. But I always tell my clients that when you come and say you're looking for a house, for instance, they give you an example. I saw Mr. Banda, that's an example, has got this and this in their home. I always try and discourage people from doing that. And I always say to them, tell me how you live. Tell me how you use your spaces. Because how Mr. Banda's using his spaces is very different from how you will use your spaces. So I always try and encourage clients to only focus on how they will use their space. And then as best as possible, I interpret what they have said to me into a design. And you multiply that, whether it's commercial, whether it's corporate. And at the end of the day, as an architect, I am trying to resolve a problem that a client has, and in the best possible way by being creative. Avocado. Avocado was a beautiful time of my life. Architecture is a high-stress environment. One of the things about architecture, whether you've got a corporate client or you've got a private individual, everyone wants their drawings yesterday. Everyone has timelines. And particularly with the corporate world, chances are they've taken out a financial loan, and time equals money. So you're constantly under a lot of pressure, constantly managing lots of different teams, making sure everything is all right, because it equates to money. And being in that environment for many years, at some point I snapped. And I was looking for an outlet to say, where can I go just forget about this environment? And I thought to myself, I'm not the only one who is actually feeling what I'm feeling. Maybe you don't want to go away for months, even just a couple of hours. I decided to create Avocado to give people an outlet, give myself an outlet where you can just go and just forget about the world just for a couple of hours. And that is what Avocado was. And I used my architectural skills actually to create this environment that was going to help people just switch off, forget about the world, using colors, using lighting, using sound, all the way to the music. I thought about every single aspect. I wanted a client to walk into Avocado and just exhale. And that is what Avocado was. From being an architect to owning a spa, to being a family person, I had created a world where everything was perfect. I was in this bubble and everything was perfect. And then one day I went riding on a motorbike at 6:30 in the morning and I got hit by a drunk driver. Those moments changed my life. I left home having left my clothes on the floor because I was going to a meeting later that day. I had finished my cup of coffee and I left it on the side of my bed, and I didn't go back home for 3 years. In that 3 years, going through rehab, trying to teach you everything from scratch, because in the process of trying to save my life, they had to amputate my leg. So being an amputee took me to a place where, of course, unfamiliar territory. So teaching me every single thing. In that time, I was filled with resentment. I was filled with anger. I was filled with so many whys. Okay? Because I'm thinking, I created this perfect bubble. Why did somebody else come and enter this bubble? But of course, we know the world is like that. We're not isolated. We live in a world. And during my rehab, one of my doctors, fortunately, I say fortunately because he was a Christian. It's difficult to put science with religion. But on one of the visits, and I kept crying, I said, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this. My doctor picked up, I can't remember, a pen, a book, and he said, you see this? This is you. When you were hit, this happened to you. And he shook it violently. And he said, no amount of science can put you back the way God created you. And you need to learn to live with what has happened to you. So that was a moment that made me realize I need to start understanding. And still standing was actually a lamentation to God, because I did everything to be a good Christian. But of course, I know when you're going through something, the logic is not there to say God doesn't do barter system, whether you're good, you're bad. That is God. That is what grace is. But when you're going through a crisis, when you're going through some trauma, logic is thrown out of the window. So it was a lamentation to God, asking him why that had happened to me, why he allowed that to happen to me. And in the process, it gave me healing. I remember I'd write the book and I'd be crying. And my husband would walk in and say, for goodness sake, stop writing the wretched book. But he didn't understand that as I was writing, I was grieving my past life. And in grieving my past life, that was the beginning of my healing. And I say healing in terms of my emotion. So still standing, I wrote it, I'm not concerned whether it would sell, it wouldn't sell. I wrote it hoping one more person out there maybe going through what I'm going through, also having a lamentation of some kind, going through some trauma of some kind. And if one person can read it and one person can be helped by my story, that is one person too many. And that was the reason why I wrote Still Standing. Mwangala Mwenda Foundation is a foundation that I started to honor my grandmother's legacy. My grandmother was chieftainess Wanjikana for over 37 years. In that time, I saw my grandmother look after everybody, nuclear, extended, non-related. And I wanted to continue her legacy. And I'm privileged, I say privileged, to have lived two lives. I have a life before my accident, and I have seen life after my accident. Before my accident, I looked at the foundation as a way of giving back to society, giving back to my community, and we were focused on educating the girl child. And it was really lovely seeing this girl child get excited about going to school, get excited about paying for them. And then government policy changed. They started paying for people, and we changed how we were running the organization. The same resources, rather than paying school fees, we began to buy school uniforms for the kids. And it was really nice because in the rural area, they don't really mind whether you've got a school uniform or not, but it does affect the child somehow. And seeing these little kids in the same uniform go to class, I just needed to give them that excitement about look forward to going to school, look forward to getting an education because it will better your life. And this is how I looked at it before the accident. After the accident, I looked at the rural area in a totally different way. Suddenly, it wasn't underprivileged because I began to notice how these little kids were filled with laughter. They didn't see their surrounding. I saw these little kids excited about things I had not seen before. And being a channel to be able to be a part of this. In the beginning, I think the foundation I thought was saving their lives. After the accident, the attitude I found in Liua, in Kalabo, began to heal me because I began to see life in a totally different way, not from a lack of, but from gratitude. And I focus the foundation on that now in a sense of gratitude, grateful for my grandmother, grateful for everything she did for everybody, grateful for the opportunity that I was her granddaughter. And I would like to carry on that legacy through the foundation. You know, in the world of change, being an architect, you're always on the go, always rushing, always meeting somebody else's deadlines other than your own. And that's how Avocado came, because of being burnt out. You're always trying to be ahead of the curve. When I had my accident, when I came back, I found the world had not stopped for me. The world had carried on. I was stuck in my trauma, but the world had carried on. And it made me realize that sometimes it's okay for the world to leave you. We're constantly in a rush, constantly trying to, meet society's construct of what success is, beat the curve, change, be innovative. There are lots of keywords that make us feel like we're part of the world. But really, I found that sometimes let the world go by. You'll find it. And so what I do now, because of experience, because of time, age, I recognize the signs of being burnt out. I see them when they're coming. I recognize stresses. I'm about to get anxious about this. I move away from it. I'm conscious of energy. I move away from it. I make deliberate choices to put myself in positivity so that I don't fall back in the rabbit hole. So once in a while, I'll switch off my phone. It's family time. It's me time. The world can go by. This time I've given you permission to leave me behind. I'll find you. And that's what I do to switch off. TD Jakes saved my life. And now recently, his daughter is also doing the same thing. I love TD Jakes and his daughter because it's not strictly motivational. It's not just biblical. It is inspirational. Maybe I should say it's inspirational. I always make sure that I set my day right. I always say, even if it's 5 minutes, it's one sentence, 30 minutes, as soon as I start the day positive, TD Jakes is the go-to. So I would say to anybody who is in that space, find that thing that gives you that extra factor, something, whatever it is. But for me, it was TD Jakes. I'm not sure whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, but I wish people would understand that it's okay when you don't know what to say to somebody, because the wrong thing can take that person back 10,000 steps behind. I'm a Christian. When I was going through what I was going through, I did not want to hear somebody say to me, at least you're alive. Oh, at least your children are happy, they still have their mom. Stop crying, Mangala, because show faith. And I felt like saying I am crying because I have faith, because I understand what has happened. So I will say to them what my sister said to me when we were walking the London Marathon. It was one of the things I did to try and prove to myself that I hadn't lost my mind, that I was still me. I was physically disabled, but I hadn't lost my mind. I think hours later, it became clear we were not going to get to the end. And I said to my sister, oh, no, Tulu, we're not going to find any medals. Everybody's gone. And she said, Mangala, forget about the medals. Amwitise, just put one step in front of the other. Lukafita koma felelezo, amwitise, amulibale fela batukaufela. Ye kina ni mina. And I will never forget that. Sometimes forget about the rest of the world. Whatever you're going through, I'll say to you, one step in front of the other. You will get there. Good days, great. Bad days, it's okay. We'll try tomorrow. But every day, take one step forward. And if you need to pause because you're tired, pause. Just don't go backwards, because it's very easy to go back in the rabbit hole, like I said. But stop, take a moment, breathe. Let the world pass you by. Don't believe society's idea of how you should grieve. It's your trauma. I'll give an example. People say at a funeral, the way we are in our community, when everybody goes is when the real funeral starts, because then you're left on your own. So all those people who were hyping you up because they were trying their best, they're not doing it, it's not deliberate. It's just what they know. But I'm trying to say, saying the wrong things is worse than keeping quiet. Just be still. The best friendship, the best support, just be quiet. Sit in the moment and allow the person to grieve. Because in grieving, there's no time. There's no timeline. Because some things I have come to understand, and I use the word understand, not accept. I will never accept what has happened to me, but I've come to learn how to live with it. I understand what has happened to me. And when you understand how permanent something is, because some traumas are permanent, you don't get over the loss of a child. I cannot get over being hit by a drunk driver. It has changed my life. So when society says, accept it, pray, oh, time has passed, namanje mukalikulira. Yes, namanje nikalikulira. Sanukusabutuku. So, one day at a time. Don't listen to how they think you should grieve. Grieve in your own way. You're a Christian, God understands you. You're not a Christian, what you believe in, the universe understands you. one day at a time. You'll get there. Legacy. Like I said, my 2 lives. When I was hit and I went up in the air, the prayer I said was, Lord, don't take me. My children still need me. It wasn't, oh my gosh, I didn't finish building that house. It wasn't, oh, what have I done for so and so? It changes. Near death has a way of making you shift your priorities, shall I say. My legacy is now. There's no 20 years, like I said. I live one day at a time. So every single day I am creating my legacy. I hope to be remembered as being present. I hope my children will say, Mom was always there. I hope my friends will say, I was supportive when they needed me there. I hope I am remembered with kindness. I hope somebody will remember me as having been respectful. My legacy is every single day. And really, I just hope the world remembers me with kindness.